Welcome everyone to Finnegan's Farm, to our YouTube channel on the 3650 restoration. If you haven't watched any of our videos so far, I would recommend that maybe you go back to the part 1. We're now at part 6 today. The lads will go through now what they've taken off the tractor to date. Some of the parts are here, but they'll explain exactly what they've taken off and why we've taken it off and why we need to check things out on the tractor. So we'll go over here with Sean and Kaylem and Alex and Eamon. They'll explain the few bits what we've taken off.
We're just taking our exhaust manifolds off here now between the two tractors for when we're painting the engine. No point painting the exhaust manifold because the paint will just get burned off it straight away, and plus just to get in here, do a bit of a tidy up, clean her up, we'll have to take it off anyways. So we're able to have a look through the turbo then as well, and Sean's just busy here now taking off the exhaust manifold, which all the bolts are surprisingly easy to take off even between the two tractors. So yeah, well, we're quite lucky in that regard.
Absolutely. The key with the exhaust manifold bolts is to not shear them. They can be sheared hard easy with the corrosion that can happen through that part there, and
like you could easily lose half a day from shearing a bolt inside in the head, so just take no chances really. So we'll just give a nice whack of a chisel before we even put the socket on, and once you do get the socket on, then we'll hammer it onto the head of the bolt too, and well, I have great luck here now so far, so all's good, Sean.
Absolutely getting up.
And then while he's at that, I'm going to work on getting our 2 diesel tanks off, just so we can spray in around the chassis and get all our smaller bits cleaned up, painted up. So diesel tanks the next thing. So now we have our hydraulic oil reservoir off, our air filter off, and our oil cooler off. Our diesel tank is now free. So once we've that lifted up, we'll be able to have a brilliant look just in round here, around the hydraulic pump, and I would get it all washed in properly. So now we have our diesel tank off, we can come in here and we can look at a wiring in for our lights. So as you can see, the last repair, someone has used insulated terminals but didn't have either ends, so just stuck them in either side of the same terminal and crimped them. So not too sure how long they were going to last, but anyway, we can get all that sorted now before the diesel tank goes back in, because you don't want to be coming back in here just to fix a few bloody wires. So we get this front panel off, get the lights off, and I hope we can get her outside and get a bit of a cleaning on. We're waiting before we might be able to get her outside, but let's see what we can do. So as you can see, we've all everything off nearly. Just have to take off a few more panels and expansion bottle, and might take a radio out. Just we'd have a bare chassis left to paint with.
Our diesel tank is also attached to the front of our bonnet, which the lads wanted to check for the lights, and also going to be resprayed and badged up and everything. What was here was our oil cooler for obviously our engine oil, and then our reservoir for the hydraulic pump. So basically the reservoir was coming off the hydraulic pump and going, if you ever started up the tractor first thing in the morning, let's say you wanted to drop the arms, drop your implement off, that reservoir was just there as a bit of oil to send to the back arms, just so you're not trying to pump from the hydraulic pump back just after you start. So,
okay. And Sean would say here, okay, maybe we had a water pump in here, hadn't we? We had a little issue there.
Yeah, so just when we took off our guards, we were able to look in, we had a lot of play in our water pumps. You know, the water pump had to be taken out to put new bearings in, or a new water pump. Just haven't looked into it too hard yet. And as well, inside here is absolutely manky, so with lights of painting and that, we're going to have to get everything all nice, clean and polished up before we go any further.
Manifold gaskets, manifold. Was
yeah,
it a big job to take it off?
Surprisingly not. We would have thought with a tractor this age and having done so much hours that the manifold bolts would have been bad, but they're actually fairly good. And then once we took our...
There you go, sorry, I need the phone. So we took off.
What are we doing today, lads?
So what we're going to do is we're going to loosen this bung here. We're going to loosen the two hubs here, drain all the oil out of all of them. And then what we're going to do here is, I was taking track rod ends off this morning, which there. I'm going to take the two pins out, the top and bottom, take those out, pull the whole shaft out, so then we can do the seals on the inside. As you can see, that's where we're losing a lot of our oil, is in these bearings here and these seals. But when we change the seals, we're going to have to do the bearings. It's going to have to be quite a bit. So new bearings are going to have to be put in, see in here and in here.
Now, Sean has taken off the top and bottom kingpin now, so I'm just going to give him a hand now, lifting out, so we're ready for off now. Just leave it there for a sec to drop it. Here's our first half axle off. Now we weren't able to drain the oil because we have a drain bung is in a bit of hassle to say the least, but the actual oil itself is it's nearly like grease. But anyways, so here on the inside of our hub, actually you can see the wear from where our seal was running. Yes, I'm not too sure actually that's part of the machining or if that's the wear from the seal, which I presume it is. And an actual wear on our joint too. Let me have that right there for a sec. There's actually very little wear on it. I can't get over that. So she has seen grease at some stage or another. Well, I think it's been lubricated more from the oil leaks from the seals and everything than anything else, but now it looks like we're in good order, so we take off the other three, sorry, and then we come back and strip them all. So we'll end up splitting our hat off, taking our inner circuit out, pulling the shaft through, and then we can change our seals. So we'll get busy doing the rest of them now. Okay, so we're going to take our housing off and we're going to look in a bit further, so I'm going to take our bolts out now. We're going to have to make a wee space just for all this now. Still waiting on pads to put back together the first side we look about, just a wee washer as we showed you in the last video, so the bench is still full with all the bits for that. Right now, as for if this will come off, we're probably going to have to put a bar down to actually pull it away. I'm not just too sure. Have to do a bit of investigating now next. But as we can see here, our inner seal is absolutely, well, we have to censor that bit out, but you look, the seal is just completely in tatters. But then to look at it on the far side, on the end of our actual shaft, we're left with very deep pitting from where the seal's been running. It's obviously been moved several times, or maybe when you're steering and the shafts going in and out ever so slightly. So we can see what nice grooves on either side. We'll have to do a bit more investigating.
So that's really the parts that we've taken off. The lads have taken the front axle, taken the half shafts out of it, and again we see here we have some little bits of issues here that need to be addressed. We have where the seal goes here, where that spins around, and there's little crevices there. It's an age-old problem you have with these tractors, but the little crevices there, we could put a new seal, put it back together, and we'd probably still get a bit of seepage by it. It's obvious here as well on the inside seal as well. So these two seals are the same, so we might have to you can get a shim that sits across here and get a different seal then to suit, so it'll probably cure that problem, because look, you could get away with it, but at this stage now, when they're on the bench there, we re-shim them and we get 2 new seals, so we put the half shafts back together, and then after that then we're fairly well on. So again, as I say, if you haven't watched the videos, go back to the start. Please subscribe to the channel. You'll work your way up to part 6 is where we're at now, and we will possibly split the tractor over maybe today or the next day where the clutch is there. We get an insight into what's in that and the way the clutch works. We'll also possibly show you next week how the engine works, because a lot of people, while they turn the key and they start the tractor, a lot of them don't actually know what really happens. So we're going to have we'll have a little model here. Kaylem has a little model from when he was at school, wasn't it?
No, I built it when I was about 10,
so he built it when he was 10, so he's still 10 here. But yeah, we're going to show the workings of it. We've Alex and Eamon here. These lads are learning the site here. They're starting to get real interest now on what goes where and how everything works. So that's the plan for the next week. We'll talk to you in part 7. Again, don't forget to like the channel. And if you have any comments that are relevant or any questions that you think, no matter how silly they might be, just throw us a comment there. We will answer them back once they're relevant. Okay, so we'll see you in part 7.